Well, hey there, welcome back here to another episode on Hall Family Farms. I'm so glad you could be with us today. I was just looking and marveling at this beautiful salvia that I grew from seed, and I didn't think it was going to bloom for me this year, but it has, and it's just beautiful. So I think I have some explaining to do. It's been a little while, I think maybe 3 weeks since our last video update. So I want to tell you what's been going on here on the farm and why I've been missing in action. So let me put this salvia back in the greenhouse. So let me get a drink of water real quick. So today is Sunday, October the 17th, and on Sunday, October 3rd, I tested positive for COVID, and my symptomology at that time was basically kind of common cold symptoms, a runny nose, a little bit of a sore throat. And so my wife encouraged me to go and get tested, so I went to my local patient first and got the test, and it came back positive. So I want to not make this a COVID video today because we're all about gardening here on Hall Family Farms, but I do want to let you know some things that I did that I think were very helpful for me in my recovery and preventing me from going to the hospital. So one of the things, and I do this routinely anyway, but one of the things that I would recommend if you happen to get COVID is to take this emergency, it's a powder, and you mix it in water, and it's 1,000 cc's of vitamin C. Now, I normally take one of these a day, but after I got my positive test, I upped it by taking one in the morning and one at night before going to bed. So vitamin C is very helpful to your immune system. If you can think of the, I guess to help from your perspective, the letter C, I like to think of it as like the old game we used to play back in the 80s and 90s, Pac-Man. And so vitamin C is very much kind of like the game of Pac-Man. It goes around and helps with helping your system fend off anything that you might have. So highly recommend taking the emergency. The other thing that I recommend, and of course if you've done some research on COVID, they recommend zinc. It's very helpful in boosting your immune system. So I'm not a sponsor of Emergency or this product, but Zicam. It's a little tablet that has zinc in it, and it's a rapid melt. You just put it in your mouth and let it dissolve, and you take one every 3 hours, and that really helped. And I think, and I don't have the other thing that I took, I don't have out here with me in the greenhouse, but the other thing that I took was at night before going to bed to try to dry up my sinuses, I took NyQuil. Now NyQuil has an antihistamine in it, which helps to dry up your sinus passages. That way you don't get all of that drainage going down your windpipe and into your lungs. And of course, to avoid going to the hospital and developing pneumonia and perhaps going on a ventilator, you want to make sure that you keep your lungs working properly and keep all of that mucus and all of that sinus drippage from going down that way. So if you happen to catch the virus, those are 3 things that I would highly recommend and endorse you jump on immediately. The NyQuil I took every night, and I didn't have that drainage, didn't have to deal with the runny nose very much to speak of, and didn't have any problems with my breathing. I was able to sleep at night, and so I would encourage you to take those 3 things if you happen to get it. Now, as far as the rest of my symptoms go, the big thing, the first maybe 2 or 3 days, I had a lot of deep muscle tissue soreness all over, which I have never experienced before. I don't get sick very often. I think part of it's due to having my psoriatic arthritis. My immune system is already kind of in hyperdrive, attacking my joints. But I think that was something I had never experienced before. And of course, I'm accustomed to joint pain, so I know what that feels like. But this muscle pain was something different. And then the fevers were just pretty much initially non-stop. Chills, then very hot, chills, very hot. And here, as I am finishing my bout with this disease, that seems to have gone away. I do occasionally at night will develop what I call night sweats, where I feel like you just got out of a shower, but that is also kind of waning. Now my son also contracted the disease, and he's just recently tested negative, so it takes about 2 weeks to work through your system, going from a positive test to a negative test. So we are both negative now. My wife tested positive about a week and a half ago, and she has done all of the same things that I just recommended, and she's had a very, very good recovery. So that's all that I'm going to tell you about COVID. It is real. It's not as, I don't think it's as deadly. Obviously, it's killed a lot of people, so I'm not trying to minimize those who've passed away from this disease. But I think if you do the things to help your immune system, you can survive this. So with that being said, let's talk about today's episode. Okay, let's get on with today's show, shall we? So just as a reminder, I live in South Central Virginia, latitude 37.3 degrees latitude, and we are in U.S. agricultural growing zone 7B. So we are definitely moving into the fall. Our temperatures dropped pretty much, maybe about 15 degrees last night. We're supposed to get down to maybe 46 tonight, and then I think Monday night we're supposed into Tuesday we're supposed to get down to maybe as low as 41 or 40 degrees for an overnight temperature. So that means our project today is all about getting our plants, our tropical plants, into the greenhouse. So that means our tropical hibiscus trees. That means, well, I've already got some things moved in here. As you can see, the coleuses that we took from cuttings, they're doing quite nicely in the greenhouse. We do have a little bit of an insect issue here with eating on the leaves, but for the most part, those are looking very well. And our bananas, I don't know if you can see those back there, but the bananas have really taken off. And so hopefully we'll be able to overwinter those in the greenhouse this winter and then move them out for the summer. So we've got to get this thing filled up here before we get to our first frost. And I don't want to wait too much longer, because when you start getting down into the 40s and the upper 30s, you know, you run the risk of damaging plants that you may want to try to keep over the winter. So it is going to be a challenge. It was a challenge last year in the greenhouse keeping our tropical hibiscus going, because it does get cold in here. Even though it's a greenhouse and we try to heat it with a little electric heater, temperatures can get down, you know, below 30 and into the 20s. Now the reason why we were able to keep the plants alive is that heater, even though it gets cold, it's moving warm air around and circulating, so it prevents any moisture that might be on the leaves from freezing. So I think that worked last year, and so I'm hoping it's going to work for us again this year. So anyway, let me go and grab the tropical hibiscus plants, and we're going to have to give them a pretty severe haircut or a pruning to be able to get them fit in here, and we'll have to do some reorganizing. In fact, that latest edition, that kind of peach colored tropical hibiscus, I need to give it a good haircut, get it under control, and yeah, so that's it for today. So let's I'm going to put the camera on hold. Let me go get those hibiscus trees, and we will get to work. Be right back. All right, I think our first order of business is to get this thing tamed and back into a much smaller, tighter canopy. So we're going to go in here and take this back quite a bit, actually. It's going to seem kind of severe, but needs to be done in preparation for the winter. And believe me, it'll grow back when we get into next spring. It will definitely grow back. And basically I'm just cutting back to a leaf node. I think I'll leave that for now. Bring this back. I hate having to cut these beautiful blooms right now. Isn't that a beautiful double peach? But again, it's a necessary evil, I guess, is the best way to describe this process. In order to fit these other tropical hibiscus in here, we got to bring the canopy in line with the size of the pot below, so that we can get them in here as close as we can. It also helps the plant overwinter, because it's not having to, you know, produce a lot of energy to keep all of this foliage that we had here. So less foliage, less energy. And it will also help this plant come spring fill out. It'll be much more dense instead of these long branches and lots of open air down below here. Okay, that looks pretty good. I think we'll bring this one back. And bring this one back. Okay, alright. I think that looks pretty good. And we'll just get these old dried up blooms out of the way here. Okay. Well, I'll take that off there too. Yes. Okay. Alright, I'm pretty pleased with that. It's, again, pretty severe, but something that we need to do to help out. I've just pruned our lemon tree, but I'll probably have to cut it back a little bit more too. Get it a little bit tighter. So anyway, we're going to have to do some rearranging, some reshuffling when we bring these other plants in, and probably going to have to move out these pots. But anyway, that's all we've got for today's show. But until the next time, please be safe out there. Remember, if you start to get that sniffle, take your emergency, your Zicam, self-melt tabs, and don't forget that NyQuil, very important. Just in case it's not just a common cold and it's more, and you've contracted this COVID virus. So, and with that being said, I hope to see you again real soon. I want to thank all of my subscribers. This hasn't gone unnoticed. I think I'm at 103 now, and so I appreciate each and every one of you who have taken the time not just to watch a video, but to watch maybe several videos and have thought enough to want to become a part of the Hall Family Farms experience and family. So with that being said, I greatly appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. And please, if you do enjoy this content, and there are other people out there who share the same passion that we share with gardening, please feel free to share on my videos with your friends and family, and let them know about our channel. We would greatly appreciate the support. And until the next video, take care, and we will see you then real soon, hopefully sooner than later. Take care. Bye-bye.